Hi, I'm Elena. Never thought I'd be the kind of mom who installs a nanny cam, but after what happened at last month's family dinner, I wasn't taking any chances. My son Ethan had fallen 3 times that evening, each time after my sister-in-law Vanessa had been suspiciously close to him. I couldn't prove anything then, but the way she rushed to comfort him afterward, throwing concerned glances my way as if questioning my parenting skills, made my skin crawl. "You think I'm being paranoid?" I asked my husband Mark as we prepared for today's family gathering at our home. Mark arranged cheese and crackers on a serving plate, carefully avoiding my eyes. "I think you and Vanessa have never gotten along, and you're looking for reasons to blame her. That's not fair. Ethan never falls at daycare, never falls at the park, only when Vanessa's around." "Kids fall, Elena. That's what they do." Mark's voice had that patient tone that made me want to scream. "My sister isn't some cartoon villain. She has a 4-year-old too, remember? Why would she want to hurt our son?" I grabbed the vegetable tray from the refrigerator with more force than necessary. "I don't know why. I just know what I saw. The way she whispered to Lily right before it happened last time." "What exactly did you hear her say?" Mark challenged. I couldn't hear the words, but Lily giggled and then walked over to where Ethan was playing. Minutes later, he tripped and hit his head on the coffee table. Mark sighed, placing his hands on my shoulders. "Listen, if it makes you feel better, keep an eye on things today. But please don't make accusations without proof. Vanessa's already dealing with the divorce and—" The doorbell interrupted our conversation. I pulled away from Mark's grasp. "That's probably them now. Promise me," Mark insisted, his eyes pleading. "Fine," I agreed reluctantly, "but I'm watching every move she makes." As I opened the door, Vanessa stood there with her perfectly styled blonde hair and designer clothes, holding her daughter Lily's hand. Behind that picture-perfect smile, I'd always sensed something cold. "Elena, how are you holding up? Ethan's bruises healing okay?" Vanessa's voice dripped with concern as she air-kissed both my cheeks. "He's fine," I replied stiffly. "The doctor said kids his age fall all the time." "That's what I keep telling Mark," Vanessa said, gliding past me into the house. "Some children just need extra supervision. Lily hardly ever falls anymore, do you, sweetie?" Lily, a miniature version of her mother with the same calculating eyes, shook her head. "I'm very careful. Mommy says being careful is important." "Where is my favorite nephew?" Vanessa called out, making her way to the living room where Ethan was building with blocks. I followed closely behind, watching as she knelt beside my son. "Ethan, look how big you've gotten. Can Auntie Vanessa get a hug?" Ethan glanced at me uncertainly before giving his aunt a quick hug. I noticed him step back immediately after, returning to his blocks. Smart kid. "Why don't you show Lily your new toys?" Vanessa suggested, her voice honey-sweet. "I'll help him," I said quickly, moving to my son's side. Mark entered with drinks for everyone. "Elena, your mom's on the phone. Something about the recipe she gave you." I hesitated, not wanting to leave Ethan alone with them. "Go on," Vanessa waved dismissively. "We're family. I'll watch the kids." As I reluctantly left the room, I whispered to Mark, "Keep an eye on them." He rolled his eyes but nodded. I hurried to take the call, keeping it brief. But when I returned, Ethan was crying on the floor, a red mark forming on his forehead, while Vanessa comforted him. "What happened?" I demanded, rushing to my son. "He was running and just toppled over," Vanessa explained, her face a mask of concern. "Kids, right? They're so clumsy at this age." But over her shoulder, I saw it. Lily's small, satisfied smile, and Vanessa's hand giving her daughter's arm a quick, approving squeeze. That's when I knew. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't coincidence. This was deliberate. "You should have seen her face, Rachel," I said into my phone the next morning, pacing my kitchen while Ethan napped. "Like she was proud her daughter had done something right." "That's seriously messed up," my best friend replied. But Mark didn't see anything? He was getting napkins from the kitchen. By the time he came back, Vanessa was already playing the concerned aunt. I lowered my voice, even though no one else was home. I installed a camera in the living room last night. Mark thinks I'm overreacting, but I need proof. What does your mother-in-law think? Has she ever noticed anything weird? I hesitated. I haven't talked to Martha about it. She and Vanessa have always been close, especially since the divorce. You should call her. If Vanessa's been doing this for a while, Martha might have seen something. Maybe you're right. I glanced at the clock. I'm meeting Vanessa's ex-husband for coffee in an hour. Daniel? Why? To see if he knows anything. He left her, Rachel. There must have been a reason. Rachel's voice turned cautious. Be careful, Elena. If she's actually hurting Ethan, confronting her without evidence could make things worse. That's why I need to talk to Daniel. I need to understand what I'm dealing with. 2 hours later, I sat across from Daniel at a quiet coffee shop downtown. He looked tired, the kind of exhaustion that comes from more than just lack of sleep. Thanks for meeting me, I said after we'd gotten our drinks. I know this is unusual. Daniel stirred his coffee absently. You said it was about Vanessa and the kids. Is Ethan okay? He keeps getting hurt when Vanessa's around. I took a deep breath. I think she might be causing it somehow. I expected shock, disbelief, maybe even anger at the accusation. Instead, Daniel's face showed grim recognition. You've noticed it too? I pressed. When Lily was about 2, I started noticing bruises on her playdate friends. Nothing serious, a push child here, a tripped toddler there. But always when Vanessa was supervising, my stomach dropped. Did you confront her? Of course. She turned it all around, said I was accusing her of being a bad mother, that I was the one who was never there. Daniel's knuckles whitened around his cup. By the time I realized what was happening, she'd already convinced everyone I was paranoid, controlling. What was happening exactly? Munchausen by proxy, but not exactly. She doesn't want Lily sick. She wants her to look perfect by comparison. The careful child. The well-behaved one. Daniel's voice trembled. She's training Lily to do it now, too. That's what I saw, I whispered. Vanessa whispered something to Lily, and minutes later, Ethan fell. Daniel nodded grimly. Classic Vanessa. She never does the dirty work herself anymore. Uses Lily as her proxy. But why? What does she get out of it? Attention, control, the chance to show what a concerned aunt she is while subtly suggesting you're not watching your son carefully enough. Daniel leaned forward. The court-appointed psychologist during our custody battle said she has narcissistic tendencies, needs to be the hero and the victim simultaneously. I need evidence, I said. Mark won't believe me without it. Neither will the court. Trust me, I tried. Daniel's expression darkened. Get a camera. Document everything. And whatever you do, don't leave Ethan alone with them. As we parted ways, my phone rang. It was Martha, my mother-in-law. Elena, dear, I heard you've been asking questions about Vanessa. My heart raced. Martha, I can explain. No need, she interrupted, her voice uncharacteristically serious. Come over. There's something you should see. 30 minutes later, I sat in Martha's immaculate living room as she pulled out a photo album. Mark was always so protective of his sister, Martha began, turning pages until she found what she was looking for. Even as children. But there was a reason. She pointed to a photo of young Mark with his arm in a cast, Vanessa smiling beside him. 3 broken bones before he was 10, always when he was alone with Vanessa. Martha's voice was heavy with old guilt. We thought they were accidents. By the time we suspected otherwise, Vanessa had learned to be more careful. Does Mark know? I asked, stunned. He refuses to remember. It's easier to believe his sister is normal than face what she did to him. Martha gripped my hand. Don't let history repeat itself, Elena. Protect your son. The family dinner at Martha's house the following weekend felt like walking into a trap I'd set myself. Everyone was there. Mark, Martha, Vanessa, Lily, and us. The nanny cam footage I'd captured during the week was saved on my phone. Clear evidence of Vanessa guiding Lily to trip Ethan when they thought no one was looking. Mark still hadn't seen it. I wanted him to witness Vanessa's behavior in person first. Ethan, sweetie, why don't you show Lily the new train set Grandma got you? Vanessa suggested as soon as dinner was finished. I tensed, but Martha caught my eye and nodded slightly. We'd discussed the plan earlier. Actually, Martha interjected, I thought we'd all watch the kids play. It's not often I get all my family together. Vanessa's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. Of course, Mother. Whatever you want. We moved to the living room where the train set was laid out. I positioned myself where I could see everyone, my phone's camera ready in my pocket. Lily, come help Auntie set up the tracks, Vanessa called, patting the spot next to her on the floor. I watched as she leaned close to her daughter, whispering something. Lily nodded, then moved toward where Ethan was kneeling. Lily, I said sharply, why don't you play with the trains on that side of the track? Ethan can build on this side. Vanessa's head snapped up. Elena, they're just playing. No need to micromanage. I'm not micromanaging, I replied evenly. I'm just making sure everyone stays safe. What's that supposed to mean? Vanessa's voice remained sweet, but her eyes hardened. It means I saw you whispering to Lily before Ethan fell last time. And the time before that. The room went silent. Mark stared at me in shock. Elena, what are you doing? Telling the truth, I said, not taking my eyes off Vanessa. I have it on video, Vanessa. You instructing Lily to trip Ethan, to make him look clumsy, to make me look like a bad mother. Vanessa laughed, the sound brittle and false. That's ridiculous. Mark, your wife has clearly lost her mind. I would never hurt Ethan. Not directly, I agreed. You've trained Lily to do it for you, just like you used to hurt Mark when you were kids. Mark went pale. What are you talking about? Tell him, Martha, I urged. Tell him what you showed me. Martha stood, her hands trembling slightly. It's true, Mark. All those accidents when you were children, they weren't accidents. This is insane, Vanessa spat, standing up. You're all ganging up on me because you've always been jealous of me. Jealous? I pulled out my phone. Let me show you what I captured on my nanny cam. As the video played, showing Vanessa clearly instructing Lily before the child deliberately extended her foot to trip my son, Vanessa's facade began to crack. You spied on me? In your home? That's illegal, she sputtered. Actually, Daniel's voice came from the doorway where he'd been quietly observing. Recording in your own home to protect your child is perfectly legal and very familiar to me. You, Vanessa hissed, seeing her ex-husband. You turned them all against me. No, Vanessa, Daniel said calmly. You did that yourself. Lily began to cry, confused by the tension. I felt a pang of sympathy for the child, a pawn in her mother's twisted game. Vanessa grabbed Lily's arm roughly. We're leaving. I won't stand here and be accused like this. Let go of her arm, Vanessa, Daniel warned. You're hurting her. She's my daughter. Mine, Vanessa shouted, her carefully constructed mask completely shattered now. When Mark stepped forward to intervene, Vanessa shoved him hard, causing him to stumble backward into the coffee table. The crash seemed to shock everyone into silence. Mark, are you okay? I rushed to help my husband up. I'm fine, he said, staring at his sister as if seeing her clearly for the first time. Vanessa, what's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me, she snarled. You're all crazy. You've always been against me, always trying to make me look bad. She turned to leave, still gripping Lily's arm, but found Officer Collins, another planned element, blocking her path. Vanessa Jensen? He asked. We'd like to ask you some questions about a pattern of behavior regarding your nephew and potentially other children. How's Mark doing with all this? Rachel asked 3 months later as we watched Ethan playing safely at the park. Better, I said, keeping a watchful eye on my son. Therapy is helping him process the childhood memories he'd suppressed. It's not easy, learning your sister deliberately hurt you for attention. And Vanessa? The court ordered psychiatric evaluation and treatment. She lost custody of Lily. Daniel has full custody now. She gets supervised visitation only. I sighed, still processing everything myself. The psychologist confirmed what Daniel suspected. She has a severe personality disorder with narcissistic features. Apparently, it's uncommon but not unheard of. Using your child to harm other children to make your own look superior. Rachel shook her head. I still can't believe it. And Lily? She's in therapy too. At 4, there's hope she can unlearn those behaviors. Daniel brings her for playdates sometimes. Supervised, of course. It's not her fault. My phone buzzed with a text from Mark. Court date confirmed. Restraining order hearing next Tuesday. Mark wants to make the temporary restraining order permanent, I explained to Rachel. After Vanessa showed up at Ethan's preschool last month claiming to be authorized for pickup, we're not taking any chances. She actually tried that? Even after everything? She doesn't think she did anything wrong. That's the scariest part. I watched Ethan climb the slide ladder, my heart swelling with protective love. In her mind, she was just helping Lily stand out by making other kids look worse. Rachel squeezed my hand. You know what amazes me? That you're already thinking about Lily's well-being despite everything Vanessa did. Lily's a victim too, I said simply. And maybe with the right help, she won't become her mother. That evening, as Mark and I tucked Ethan into bed, he surprised us with a question. Is Aunt Vanessa sick? He asked innocently. Mark and I exchanged glances, having agreed to be honest with Ethan in age-appropriate ways. Yes, buddy, Mark answered carefully. Aunt Vanessa has an illness in her thinking. She needs special doctors to help her think better. Is that why she told Lily to trip me? I tried not to show my shock that he'd been aware of what was happening. Yes, sweetie, but that wasn't okay, and it wasn't your fault. I know, Ethan said with the simple clarity of children. Lily told me she was sorry when we played at her dad's house. She said her mom told her it was a game. Mark's eyes filled with tears. I squeezed his hand, knowing he was thinking of similar games from his own childhood. It wasn't a game, Mark said firmly. And you did the right thing telling us when you got hurt. After Ethan was asleep, Mark and I sat on the porch swing, the evening air cool against our faces. I should have believed you sooner, Mark said, breaking the silence. I'm sorry. You weren't ready to see it, I replied. None of us wants to believe someone we love could do something like that. Daniel called today, Mark said. He's moving back to the area so Lily can be close to family. Our family, not Vanessa's enablers. He asked if we'd be part of Lily's support system. What did you say? I said yes, if you're comfortable with it. Mark looked at me uncertainly. Lily deserves better than what she got. She deserves a chance to grow up without her mother's poison, I nodded slowly. I agree. With supervision and therapy, I think we can help her. She's just a child who was manipulated by someone who should have protected her. Mark pulled me close. How did I get so lucky? Finding someone with your strength and compassion? It wasn't luck, I said, resting my head on his shoulder. It was me recognizing a good man who needed rescuing from toxic family patterns. As we sat together in comfortable silence, I thought about the twisted path that had brought us here. The discovery, the confrontation, the aftermath. Not revenge, but justice. Not punishment, but protection. Sometimes the most important victories aren't about making others pay for what they've done. Sometimes they're about making sure they can never do it again. What would you do if you discovered someone close to you was deliberately causing harm? How far would you go to protect your child? Leave a comment below with your thoughts.